Hello and a very good everyone. So today we will learn on Power Query on how we can actually clean the data in this particular file. If you look in this particular file, we do have hair care products for the location of West Malaysia in a fictional company called 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. So now in this particular case, we have the data for the stocks, and each stocks we have the subgroup for the sales from January up to April. So what I want to do is I want to perform a data cleaning and also data analysis. So let's get started. So the thing is, if I want to do data analysis, so that I want to analyze which is the top sales, what is the percentage allocation, and also what is the trending month on month. So what I'll do is I will use Excel to actually import the data via Power Query. So to import the data via Power Query, what I'll do is I'll go to data, get data, from file, and Excel Workbook, because we want to import the data from Excel Workbook. We click it over here, and then you will notice that a box will appear. So you must actually know where you save the file. So I save the file in desktop, and I save under 11 June 2025, and this is the particular file, April 2025, and I press import. Once I press import, you will notice that another box will appear. So in this case, they will ask you which tab or which sheet you want to choose. So I want to choose West Malaysia WM, and what I want to do is I want to actually go to transform data, because when you press load, it will load as a table format in a new sheet. But what I want to do is I want to go to transform data. So once I go to transform data, it will be navigated to Power Query Editor. So in this Power Query Editor, what I'll do is I'll perform data cleaning. So if you see here, we have the group, we have the subgroup, we have the sales from January up to April. So what I want to do is basically I actually want to remove the first two rows, because the first two rows is not necessary. So what I'll do is I'll just go to remove row, remove top row, and then after that I put two rows and I press OK. So once I press OK, so the two rows has been disappeared. So the next thing is I actually want to fill down, because this is the group item. So I'm going to select this, right click and fill down. So I'm going to select there, fill down, and here you go. So now we have the data. So now if you notice that this first column is not necessary, and we also don't want the total. So what we can do is either we can actually remove one by one, or we can go to choose column. So once I click choose column, I don't want the hair care products, and I also don't want the column 16. I press OK. So here you go. So now we have the group items. Now here we have the subgroup, and here we have January up to December. Then the next step what I do is I want to put the first row as header. I want to promote the first row to become the header. So click use first row as header. So once I click use first row as header, so January up to December will be promoted as the header. And then the next step is, of course, I don't want the total sales and I don't want the null. So what I'll do is I'll select this, and I will unselect the null, and I will also unselect the total sales. And when I press OK, so now here you have the group items and the subgroup items. The next thing is I want to unpivot the columns. So I want to unpivot January up to December. So I'm going to select all this, and I go to transform and click unpivot column. And just like that, we have all the months. So you might be wondering, when we unpivot, basically we convert all the respective columns into two different columns. One column for months, another column for values. But why here we have January up to April? Because if you look here carefully, we don't have any data for May up to December. So when there is no data, that is why it doesn't show May to December. So what I'll do is I can actually select January up to December, or another way is I can also select these two columns and right click and unpivot the other column. So right click and unpivot other column. Just now what we did is we select January up to December and press unpivot column. But now instead of selecting other columns, we can actually select few columns and press unpivot other columns. And just like that, it will appear accordingly. So now we have done this. So now what's the next step is I want to rename this. So I'll just put this as group products, and over here as subgroup products, over here as monthly data or monthly, and this is in RM. And then I'm going to change this format into a whole number. So now this is the data. So now when I go to home and when I press close and load, it will automatically close and load as a table in a new sheet. So what I want to do is I want to press close and load too, because when you press close and load too, it gives you the freedom to choose pivot table report, pivot chart, or only create connection. I'm going to press pivot table in an existing worksheet and I'm going to press OK. And just like that, automatically it will load as a table in this current sheet 1. So what I want to do is I want to actually analyze about the products, the sub-products, and also to know the monthly data. Maybe let us start with monthly data. So I'm going to take this. So we have January up to April and take the RM. So now we have this data. And what I'm going to do is I want to change this format. So I'm going to press right click and then I'll just go to number format and I want to put it as accounting, no symbol and no decimal places. And I press OK. So just like that, we get an understanding. We notice that February we have the highest sales, March and April we have there's a reduction. So basically there is a volatile whereby there's an increase from January to February and there's a reduction in March and increase again in April. So what I want to do is I want to show the trending. So I'll just put here and right click. I'll just go to show value as percentage different from. And then what I want to do is I want to show here previous and press OK. So here will show me the percentage difference, so we can see whether there's an increment and reduction in the form of percentage. And then we can actually put in the form of values as well. So let me just show one more time. Okay, so this one also I'm going to put here right click and show value as difference from, and instead of base item Jan, I put here previous and press OK. So now we can actually understand the data very well. And let me just change this format as well. So I'm going to go to number format, the same thing, accounting and none and 0 and press OK. So now it looks better. So now we can understand the data. So I'm going to put here maybe sales and then here is the trending. Okay, trending in RM. And this one is trending in the form of percentage. Okay, so this is our data. So now we can get an understanding what is the month-on-month performance. I also want to have another pivot table. So let me just go over here. So now we have another pivot table, but this time I don't want the monthly data. Instead, I want the group to know the group data. So I'll just unselect this monthly data and I will select the group products. So of course we don't have any data over here, so we can just remove this. And this time, this one, instead of showing trending, I want to show the percentage allocation. So show value as and percentage of grand total. So now we have this data and I want to sort this from largest to smallest. So I select here, right click, sort largest to smallest. And just like that, we get an understanding that hairbrush incurs the highest sales. So here sales, here I want to put as allocation. So now we have the sales data, we have the allocation data. Next, I also want to know what the sub-product, how its performance and so on. So I'm going to press Ctrl A, Ctrl C, and I want to paste it over here. So now we have this data over here. So what I want to do next is I want to actually take the subgroup products. So we have the subgroup products over here. And this time, instead of percentage of grand total, what I want to know is I want to know the percentage of parent total. So I go to show value as percentage of parent row total. I click it over here. So now we can see the sub allocation for each particular subgroup. So I'm going to press here right click and then sort largest to smallest. And just like that, we will get an understanding who is the top performer for each product. So we can understand over here. So hairbrush brand tree incurs the highest sales for hairbrush product, and we can also see for other product categories as well. So interestingly, this is how we can actually use Power Query to perform data cleaning, and we can also use pivot table to perform data analysis. So this data over here, it shows us the monthly performance, the month-on-month analysis. Here we see the main group allocation, and here we see the subgroup performance, the subgroup and the main group as well.